Hello everyone, welcome to 8th video on Twitter API. In this video, we'll talk about Twitter buttons. You might have come across a lot of websites like commercial websites or content sharing websites. So they provide a user with an option to share specific content. Also, you can send a tweet to specific user directly using that page, or else you can refer to specific hashtags too. For example, if you visit a site like YouTube or 9gag, they provide an option through which you can share this video or content using Twitter. So you can check this button here also. So when you click tweet button, so it provides you with another window through which you can share. It will send out a tweet which includes the link of this video or the content. Similarly in 9gag. So in this way the content is shared using a tweet. You can add these buttons to your web page as well. So in this video we'll try to implement that function. These buttons are nothing but anchor tags with specified additional attributes provided from Twitter. So we'll create a simple HTML file and we'll try to add few buttons specifying different functionalities which enable us to share different content. So I've created a simple HTML file with all the basic tags. So now we'll be including our buttons in the body tag. First let's try to understand how these buttons exactly work. So first we need to load the Twitter's widget JavaScript function asynchronously in our page. So that will be a JavaScript. So you can find this is the JavaScript function we need to include in our page for buttons to work properly, or else you can directly provide a link to the JavaScript in the script tag. Secondly, the entire functionality of buttons depends on an URL specified as web intents. So you can find these URLs in the documentation part. So these are the URLs we will be using for different purpose, and along with this URL we'll be just adding few parameters like a text or a URL or hashtag depending on what kind of content you want to share. And finally let's talk about how exactly to render a button on our page. So there are a few methods for that. You can either use the default class libraries provided by Twitter. So for example, this is the default class library you can use, or else you can create your own button by adding your custom CSS and custom text, or else you can add a specific image as a button. In our HTML file, I've created a list to differentiate between different kinds of buttons. There are no default class libraries provided by Twitter for some buttons. So you can use normal buttons there, or you can use an image. First let's load the JavaScript file asynchronously. We'll be loading that file from the source URL directly. So we can write script and we'll mention attribute as to specify that this specific JavaScript file is to be loaded asynchronously. So let's write the source. So this is our CDN URL for Twitter widget JavaScript file. So now we can add the buttons. First we'll add a button to share just a text. So under text item you can write a, that is anchor tag, and you can mention class as Twitter share button, and you can you have to write the intent URL, the web intent URL here first, and then we have to add the parameters, that is the text parameter. So let's get the intent variable. Now let's get the intent URL. So under web intents you will find this URL to tweet or reply. So you can copy this URL and you can paste it here, and then we'll be adding a text parameter as text is equal to hey there. You can specify the size of button using data size. We'll set it to large and we'll add optional text here. Similarly, you can share a URL as well So let's copy and let's paste it after URL. So you can add, you'll just change the parameters here, and we'll remove this text parameter and we'll add URL as http www.facebook.com. So the dialog box will display this URL. Now for hashtag button, Twitter has different class library, so we'll write a, and in the class library we'll write Twitter hashtag button. So Twitter hashtag button, and we'll refer it to the intent URL. We'll add the parameter as button hashtag to specify the text we want to display on our button. So we'll write button hashtag, and we'll specify the tag as storage. You can add more tags also using, you'll mention the tags as if you want to send a tweet to specific user, you can use tweet to button. You need to mention the parameter as the screen name, that is the user name of the user you want to send the tweet to. So let's write, this button has a different class, so we'll write class as Twitter mention button. The intent URL is same, so we'll copy the intent URL and we'll mention the parameter as screen name. So the username is displayed on the button. Suppose you want to reply to a specific tweet, so you can use this in reply to button. So you need to mention the tweet ID in the parameter. So let's write Twitter has not provided a specific class for this button, so we'll just provide the reference link. So we'll just copy the intent URL because it remains same, and we'll just add the parameter in reply to, and we'll mention the ID of the tweet. So for example, this is the ID of tweet, so we'll just copy and we'll paste. Now since you don't have a class specified for this button, you can either add a text here, or you can add a button or an image. So we'll just add a text reply tweet. Now if you want to retweet a specific tweet, so you can do that by using retweet button. So the parameters here are just a tweet ID, similar to the in reply to function, but the web intent URL is different for this time. So we'll just write a, and we'll go to the documentation part. Under web intents you'll find the resource URLs, that is the intent URL. So this is the URL for retweet. We'll just copy this and we'll just paste it in the reference link, and we'll add parameter as tweet ID. So we'll just add tweet ID, and we'll use the same tweet ID. We'll just copy and we'll write retweet. Similarly, you can also like a specific tweet. This also takes just one parameter, that is the tweet ID. So let's write a. The like functionality has a different web intent URL, so we'll just go to the documentation part and we'll get the URL. So this is the URL. We'll just copy and we'll add the parameter as tweet ID. We can also extract profile information using a button. So the entire profile information, that is the screen name, the username, number of followers, number of tweets and number of following, will be displayed in a small dialog box. So you can extract that information using mini profile button. We just need to mention parameter or username or an user ID. So let's write, and this has a separate web intent URL, so you can get it from the documentation. So let's copy, and we'll add the parameter as screen name. The follow button has one parameter, that is the screen name. So we'll write, it has a different intent URL, so we'll get the intent URL. So follow, we can copy this and we can place it here. We can add the parameter as screen name, and Twitter has provided a separate class for this button, so we can write the class Twitter follow button. Now we'll save the file and we'll see how the buttons are displayed in our page. So as you can see, the buttons which had predefined class libraries provided by Twitter are displayed as buttons, while others are displayed just as text. Now let's check the functionality of each button. So for text, this was the text which we passed as parameter, and for the URL, this was the URL which we passed as parameter. So as you can see, the hashtag button, the stories is displayed on the button, and these are the hashtags which we referred in our button. For tweet to, you can directly tweet the user you displayed in parameter using this button, and in the reply tweet, you can reply to a specific tweet using this button. Using retweet button, you can retweet a specific tweet, and you can like a specific tweet using like button. You can check mini profile of a user using mini profile button, and you can follow a specific user using follow button. Along with these buttons, you can also add Twitter cards. You can find information about cards on the documentation website. So Twitter cards are even more enhanced. You can add media content. So you can create a card in this way. Creating a card is simple. You just need to select the card type, and you need to add the appropriate meta tags in your web page. So that will enable the web page to display a card which you specified for sharing. And you can download the projects which we have created in our tutorials from the link I've provided in the description. You can browse the entire documentation website to understand new functions. You can check REST APIs, streaming API, ads API. You can check the new functions and libraries. So that's it for this series of tutorials on Twitter API. I really hope that I've shown all important functions and features of Twitter API. And lastly, I would like to thank you for watching this series.